Alright, so this is discussion 22, where we're discussing Overland.
Damn, we've done 22?
Yeah. Fuck yeah,
Two whole years.
they're all on the channel. Yeah, it's been over 2 years, actually.
That's weird. It doesn't feel like
is.
it's been that long.
Yeah, man. Like, completely random, but I sent you that message of, like, it seems like it was yesterday that we were watching the pilot for Infinity Train, and I just learned, like, a few days ago that they've got 2 fucking seasons out now. And I think they've got more planned.
I'll have to go check that stuff out.
Yeah. But yeah, the game we're discussing is Overland, released September 19th, 2019. Developed and published by Finji, costs $25, and is platformed on just about everything. Microsoft Windows, Linux, Macintosh, operating system, Switch, Xbox, PS4, all the good stuff. And we can go around and introduce ourselves and give how much of the game we've played. So, my name's Zach. I played this a little bit when Mitch gave me a code for the beta, and I've played about 4 hours of it so far. I've beaten the game, and I like it. It's I can go over why I like it more later.
I'm Mitch. I've played the game about 6 hours since buying it for the Switch. But I've also played probably like 20-ish hours on the early access version that I had access to like 2 years ago, or however long ago it was. I haven't had a lot of time to finish this or play a lot of the newest version, but I like it.
I'm Nick. I played just only the release version, and it's been a couple hours. I don't know exactly how much because I have it on the Switch, and I haven't checked it on there. But I have gotten to the end of the mountain passage area, which is like the 4th area in the game.
I haven't even made it that far.
And I feel like this game gives a very bad first impression. I'll just leave it at that.
I would actually agree with that. And yeah, we can go into that more. So that was
All right.
everybody.
Yep.
So, basically, to give a very quick summary of this game, is you play as a group of people who are trying to head west. It is a turn-based, kind of isometric, zone-based game. Think like Into the Breach, or
I feel like it's like XCOM meets a puzzle game.
I feel like it's Into the Breach combined with Faster Than Light, kind of. And yeah, definitely some XCOM in there. But yeah, basically you have a car, you've got some people, and the goal is to get enough gas to keep going west. And along the way you've got items, and more importantly, you've got an infinite supply of bug monsters that are trying to murder you. So, I definitely would like to start with what Nick said, and I'll say that I think this game gives a very bad first impression, because it's got basically it has no tutorial. It's got enough to tell you how to move your character and interact with stuff, I think. But
Yeah,
But beyond that, it doesn't tell you shit.
Yeah, so like if you find just random ass items just out on the map, like you see some sticks, I'm like, well, in real life I'm thinking about it for survival. I'm like, well, what can a stick do? Probably not really anything for me, like maybe keep me warm a little, so like I just kind of leave it there. To even know you could use them to like fight an enemy to stun them or possibly kill them, like right off the bat. So like my first few times have been a little hard just from not knowing that little fact of that item. And it's just sort of like that with all sorts of stuff until you play enough of trial and error and frustration.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of trial and error involved in this game.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And That's kind of the reason I beat it. So basically what I would do is I guess this setting was on by default, because there is a setting that you can hit that makes you able to redo any zone if all your people die. And I guess I had that on by default, but apparently you need it off to get certain achievements. And what I would do is I would just try to play each area optimally. Like, if I fucked up on an area, I would just... If I fucked up bad enough on an area, I would just kill all my people and redo that area. It was really useful on the night areas, because you could kind of scout out a little bit.
When you say area, are you talking about that map tile piece? Like, redo that specific one? Or...
Yeah, that's a good question.
Redo the entire area, as in all the previous tile pieces in that.
I'm talking about that particular
tile piece.
Yeah, that by tile piece. Do you mean like the entire
the map that you play on? With
yeah,
the
map
that you have to escape out of.
Yeah,
you get to restart that one.
I am talking about that.
Okay.
There is.
Jeez, I didn't even know that was a thing. Like,
yeah.
every time I think I lose, I quit back out to the menu and then like do new game and then just select that
Yeah, I didn't know
section again.
Well,
until Zach messaged me.
Then you probably don't have it on.
No,
because...
I have it on. I just never had all my characters fully die, because I realized
before
my characters actually die that I just restart.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, beyond that, there is also a way to like undo actions that you just took with certain characters. It only works for certain actions, which...
Yes, some actions can't be undone.
Yeah.
You can't, and you can't redo any actions during night.
Mm-hmm.
Night sucks.
Yeah, night sucks. That was one thing I kind of liked, is like the day-night cycle, is because when like it's getting dark and you don't have like a flashlight or anything, it's difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had one decent playthrough that made nights so trivial. Managed to have like one guy with a light that pretty much was like one of those big handheld ones, but it pretty much lit the entire level when I had the guy out with it.
Yeah, I had, for one of my... I beat the game in like 3 runs. 2 of them were like the entire thing. But one of the runs I had like a truck that had lights on it, so that like gave a bunch of light in a certain direction.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, I think one of my best playthroughs has been a vehicle with a truck, because that just has the most spaces that you can put supplies in. And I think that's also a huge detriment in the game, that like gives you so many options and supplies, but very little things to actually like store them.
Yeah, it's I like the something I was saying earlier, but yeah, I think this game does give a bad first impression, but I feel like once you get the hang of it and like you understand what you're able to do, what you have to do, it becomes very much like Into the Breach, because Into the Breach I felt was like very similar. Like I would lose a bunch without even being able to beat the first area, but then when you kind of understand more of the mechanics, it just feels a lot better. And I really like this game. Like, it actually felt a lot like D&D to me. Like, just interacting with objects. You have the object in your hand, you have your object that you store, if your person has a backpack, and like your characters can interact with each other. Like, on the run that I actually beat the game with, I had one guy whose job it was to sit in the car and pull people into the car when they didn't have enough movement to do it themselves. And yeah, that was his job. I had a dog whose job it was to like murder anything that was getting too close, and that dog was the true hero. Mr. Bubs was the real hero of that story.
Having a dog, I feel like, is super crucial in having like a decent run. Because,
Yeah.
like, they don't need a weapon and they can kill stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's definitely nice.
And they
Yeah.
can retrieve stuff like a good boy.
They're the best. Truly the best. Although that it is a little bit of a downside because there's a lot that they can't do, like they can't open containers.
Yeah.
They can like search cars and stuff, but they're like a little bit more limited on what they can do, and they can't like
It's
put gas in the
basically-
car.
Sacrifice in survival-esque stuff like searching and all that for more survival-esque
Mhm.
physical things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Players are like the opposite unless they have a weapon.
But
Speaking of just all that, actually, let me go to my. Mitch, do you want to say anything? I want to read my list.
Well, I agree with everything you guys are saying. Like, one thing I was going to mention that I think is good and bad about this game sometimes is that your starting characters and people in general can get random perks. So sometimes your first character could get like a really shitty ass perk that makes your person like useless.
Oh, I didn't even know that they had perks.
Yeah,
What are some examples.
I knew that they had perks. I found out after I beat the game, and
So there are some perks. Like, one of the best perks is that you can get a person who can convince anyone to join your team.
that's cool.
So like every person you come across in the game, you can invite because they're perk. There's other perks. I just the most recent game I just started before we came here. One of my guys has the perk Brawler, and he can punch twice in a turn. So you can do 2 attacks in one turn.
Oh, that's good.
There's a bunch of other ones, and the starting character always gets a perk, and then if you find other characters, they have a chance of having a perk.
Okay. I've seen like this personality in their thing, but I like didn't read much into it. But that'll be useful.
But there's a lot of different perks that can. I don't even know most of them, but there's a lot of different ones, and so they can really adjust your run potential.
I guess to add on like why this game also can be like hard to get into versus like I got really screwed over once when trying to escape. Because I thought you could just run over an orange cone with a car, because that would just make sense. It's just a plastic cone. But no, it just blew up my car right away.
Oh, God,
I've lost that whole playthrough, and I'm just like, okay, great.
that sucks.
So it's like something, but like then you could crash through a wooden fence. So like it just didn't make sense to me what you could and couldn't do with some stuff at times. And I felt like that's just cheap ways of dying. Because like you expect one thing and it's just totally the opposite.
There are definitely sometimes where I've made some really stupid mistakes because I just didn't know things, and it's really frustrating sometimes. I feel like this game is one of those things where the more you're gonna keep playing, the better you're gonna get at it, and the less stupid mistakes you'll make.
Yeah, like I probably will continue to keep playing this game because I want to do some runs without like the redo function because I felt like that kind of made it kind of easy. It was really nice for like learning the game, learning the mechanics on like each of the regions, and learning like the mechanics of all the new enemy types and stuff. But I think it definitely made the game too easy.
Since you've gotten so far, I'm sure it like just keeps getting harder and harder. That's at least how I felt.
You think that?
The couple levels I played, well, like the first one is very clear, like it's not that much, and there's only very simple enemy types. But then the more enemy types that they get in there, it gets crazy. And like soon you just get on a map, and then like 3 turns later, half the map is covered in aliens.
Yeah.
So like, how can you avoid that? Because I feel like if I fight monsters, the more just pop up. Like when I kill 1, 2, 3 more pop up.
Yeah, definitely. You're always on the clock, and you always want to like quick jump out, grab everything, grab some people, get back in the car.
Grabbing
and go.
everything isn't even possible. I feel like in most cases, like I
Well, yeah. A lot of the time it's like
fuel and get my ass out and never get anything more than just fuel.
Yeah, I think I definitely felt like it's got a gradual difficulty increase, but I feel like it got easier at some point. I forget where exactly. I'm not
it just hit a plateau and you got used to it.
I wouldn't even say that. I would say it's more like the enemy type, because I think it's the woodlands where you start seeing the chaser, the enemy type that can move 2 spaces and then attack.
They're so annoying.
Long.
Or actually, no, it's
like
it can move and attack.
Yeah, the long-legged guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those guys are a pain in the ass, and they're always a pain in the ass when I saw them. I thought
The good thing is they die in one hit at least.
Oh yeah, they do. But I think later on there are just enemy types that no, there are less of them later on because it's like mixing in more of the new enemy types.
So is it easier to deal with stuff because everything's moving slower?
Well, I feel like the new enemy types are even way the hell harder though.
Oh, actually,
'Cause,
they're nice.
The one I literally just fought was like one monster could res a bunch, and like he's behind the lines, and I've got like 3 aliens that have like rock mixed with them, so like they take like 3 hits just to kill.
Yeah, those guys are shitty. Those guys suck ass when they're like blocking your car because you literally can't get rid of them.
That's the most annoying thing is when you're like, I'm ready to go, I have all my stuff, you get in your car, and then you can't leave because there's fucking big ass dudes, and you can't run them over.
Yeah. The one I was talking about, I don't know if you guys have gotten to this point, but there's I forget where you see these guys. It might be the desert, but it's it's a kind of bug that explodes, and it just sits there.
Yeah.
And
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
if you just like get next to it, it blows up.
You hit it.
If you have to hit it,
trigger it,
and it
I think
explodes.
The aliens can hit it too.
Yeah, and when it explodes, it stuns all the aliens in the area for a round, or at least until next round. And I thought those were like really beneficial. Like they were sometimes like in the way and bad because like you're trying to loot something and then everything explodes. But overall, I thought they were fine. The screamers weren't too bad.
Screamers is just more like either deal with them fast or you're just on a even faster time limit.
Yeah. Something else about the gameplay is that all of the bug enemies in this game react to sound. So the more sound that's created, the faster they spawn and the harder shit gets.
I feel like it's almost negative in a lot of cases to actually attack the enemies.
Yeah, that's
like you're better off avoiding them than you are attacking them.
Yeah, the game does a really good job of like encouraging you to like just avoid enemies as much as possible and fight when you can't avoid them, and then just get out as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I've tried that tactic too, but I got really annoyed with it, like kiting enemies around pretty much. Like one time I tried just setting all my characters into a top right hand corner because like all the enemies were just perfectly blocking where I need to get supplies. But then I just like set my guys up there and I'm just sitting there just like end turn do like 5 times in a row, and then like just finally start getting around them, and it's just like that kiting mechanic can be really annoying. I don't feel like it's well balanced compared to the negative things that could happen. It's just like so much trivialness for little gain.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely agree it can be annoying sometimes, especially the kiting around the edges.
Yeah, it's actually like it is a.
Sorry, continue.
I was gonna say like there really isn't a ton to talk about. Like it's like Into the Breach, it's a pretty simple game, but it feels like it has a lot of depth. Like the item variety, the different mechanics that come into play with the different enemies, the different regions. It makes kind of a simple formula feel a lot more complex, and that's why I think this game has the replayability that I think it has. Because
I think I might try replaying again now that you said like I can redo just that little.
Yeah, I'd abuse the hell out of that for a while until you get the hang of the game, and until you at least beat it once. And
that probably makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
There's one thing I liked, but felt like it didn't give enough incentive was whenever you escaped an area, it always brings you sort of like a map that's out and like shows where you're supposed to travel, and then you have like some options given to like, oh, I heard there's some gas here, we could possibly go here and fill up gas, or like, oh, there's a barter up here, we can probably trade some supplies. And I thought that was like some good gameplay loop breaks, just to give yourself a little breather, like, oh, I don't have to worry about fighting, I can just go and have these people trade with them. But at majority of the times, I feel like I always had to pick the gas option.
Yeah, that definitely seems to be the case quite often.
Especially when you just don't have a lot of bags or like a good vehicle to hold stuff. Like, gas is just the number one priority.
Another thing with that is I feel like, so because you can like start in an area, so like instead of starting all the way at the East Coast, you can like start halfway up, like start in grasslands.
Yep.
Do that. I think that actually makes it harder for you because
I've been doing that right now.
That's what I've been doing too, because I'm trying to just get through all the areas. But I feel like by doing that, what happens is that you don't have an accumulation of stuff from making it that far. Whereas if you started from the East Coast, made it all the way to the grasslands, you're probably going to have a solid team and a good car and like a lot of stuff. But instead you just start with nothing, basically. And I definitely think that makes it harder starting later. Because one thing I've noticed too is, like, I agree with gas. Like, you're always in need of gas. But I've had some runs, not since this new version of the game, but at least in the old version of the game, where you get lucky and you get a good car and you like stack it up, and then you can like load extra gas in the truck or whatever you have, and then you just don't have to worry about gas anymore because you just have a ton of it extra. But that is something that only happens if you played from the beginning and you kind of have a lucky run where you happen to find the right stuff. But I think when that does happen, it makes the whole thing a lot easier, because now you're not thinking about gas, you're just thinking about building the best team to keep pushing forward.
Yeah, and you're thinking more of how to break the obstacle ahead rather than surviving the obstacle and getting the supplies.
If you can like not have to worry about gas, I think the game gets easier. But if you're worrying about gas, you're fucked.
Yeah, I definitely had one playthrough where I didn't really have to worry about gas that much, where I was easily stockpiling like 15 gallons.
Well, and some of them have, you can get the extra gas canister that you can like put on your car.
Yeah, I had that. And
that's super nice, because then you can have more stored. And then if you have a truck, you can put more stuff in the back.
Oh, yeah.
And that's another thing I like, is that there's like the different vehicle choices, and they all have their benefits and their cons. Because like a truck is super nice because you can store a ton of stuff, but you can only have 2 people, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Whereas like a van is super nice because you can have like, is it 5 people in the van? I can't remember how many you can put in the van.
Okay, I was wondering what the benefit was.
I think
that one.
I think
no
up to
slots.
6 people can fit in the van.
Yeah, so the van is like huge group. You can have like a massive team, which is really awesome. But then you can't store anything in your vehicle unless you would get one of the racks for your car. So I like how there's like different vehicles play styles, like, and like different perks on people. Every run can be extremely different, because maybe you're like, well, I'm gonna go for a big team this time. But then maybe that's your plan, but then you'd never get a van, so you're stuck with 2 people. I don't know. There's a lot of, definitely a lot of randomness involved, but there's also, I feel like, a decent amount of like variety and strategy because of the different vehicles and different items you can find.
No, I agree with that, because one of my playthroughs, like, this is my first time finding this item, but it was sort of like a cow catcher for the front of your truck.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know that was a thing.
Like a grill thing, yeah, and it just makes your truck invulnerable to damage for like lower type of enemies, like the chaser or the other one hit point one.
Oh, that's
so
nice.
then my strategy was like one guy in the truck just ramming over those guys, while my other guys just running around picking up stuff. That was a good one, but
something I thought was really good was the med kit, because for the longest time I had the med kit and I thought it was a one-use thing, or it had like a limited number of uses, but I used it like 4 or 5 times and it never ran out of uses. So
Wait, that's
Really?
I didn't know that. I thought they were one use.
no, you
The one
can
I've
just
used-
keep using them.
Just disappears.
Huh.
What? Maybe there's different kinds of medkits?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Is maybe your starting med kit like a beefy one? 'Cause
I don't
you
know, it
always
was just
start out with
the-
one, right?
I think it was just the generic kind. I don't know.
Huh. Well, I'll have to look for that in the future.
Yeah. That would have saved me in some playthroughs.
Yeah, if you have an injured person, I think I got an injured person once and I just left them. Cause,
Injured people suck.
Yeah. Although there was this also other nice time where there was a guy and I was like, hey, do you want to join me? And he was like, no. And then he tried to steal my car and I just let him fight bugs till he died. I was like, yeah, fuck you.
I think that's hilarious that you can like run into, and horrible, that you run into an area, find someone, you're like, ooh, I'm gonna invite you, and they're like, no, fuck you, and then they steal your fucking car. I had a guy do that earlier, like last few weeks ago, where he got in my car and drove off, and I had no vehicle anymore. And I was like, what the? I didn't even know it was possible. I had no clue that they could get in my car, so I'm just like walking away, and then suddenly he's in my car driving away. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Apparently you can like people you abandon can come back and try to like get revenge on you, and that all is
really?
just
I didn't
think
know
so.
that.
I heard that somewhere.
Damn.
I just had a playthrough where I got to a gas station and somebody was already there, and it was pretty much us two like competing for the gas while monsters were both trying to murder us, and he had his own vehicle he was trying to fill up.
Yeah, that happened to me. The one game I was just playing right before, we came in and I had no gas, and there was like 2 full 5-gallon tanks, and this dude's just sitting there like, this is my gas, stay the fuck away. And I'm like, fuck you, and I ran in there and like beat the shit out of him, but he killed my dog. But at least I got all the gas. I felt so bad. I don't want to kill people in that game because they're all struggling just like me.
Yeah.
But you're taking my only gas. I need fucking gas, dude.
Yeah, you feel a lot more connected to your people in this game than you do in something like Into the Breach, where it's just like, oh, it's just a mech and a generic like cookie cutter pilot guy. But yeah, you feel like even though your people talking just sounds like NPC bullshit, you definitely get attached to them.
Yeah, I don't want my dogs to die.
Yeah. Good boys.
I kind of want to talk about the end of the game, but neither of you have gotten there.
I don't want to be spoiled because that's another thing I do want to talk about is I really like the theme and tone. There's some weird shit that happens in this game, like everything being sucked into the ground suddenly for no reason, and then like in the last playthrough I was just playing, a car just came out of fucking nowhere and smashed into the ground and like killed a bunch of enemies, and I was like, what the fuck just happened? Like the whole screen shook, and then just a car just goes like a meteor slams into the ground.
I want to talk about the end of the game later because it kind of annoyed me when I first discovered like, oh, it's going to be this kind of ending, but I feel like it's also a lot more up to like interpretation. So
it'll be interesting. I do want to keep playing. I just haven't had a lot of time because I want to finish it and get to the end. I do
definitely.
really like this game. One other thing that happened today is that something happened and all the enemies started cowering and disappeared, and then there was a shadow, a massive flying creature shadow over the tile that I was on.
What? What
Yeah.
are you getting into?
That was in Grasslands too. I was like, what the fuck just happened? Some like fucking spiky ass, giant ass shadow as big as the whole tile flew over.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I've had some stuff like that.
Not had
as
anything
well.
like that.
And it's
I've
definitely
only
seemed-
had a similar thing like the car crashing down, but it was instead, I think, a washer.
Yeah, I think I had that too.
But then everything else weird, I think, has been just story related with the alien, but not like random events like that.
I don't know. I like the tone and like story-esque. It's not really like a story because I haven't gotten far enough, but like the theme of the world is really interesting, and like the
Mhm.
mysterious nature of everything.
Yeah, everything's. I think that kind of ties into the like no tutorial. Like, I feel like it is a lot like XCOM. Like, we don't know anything, and then getting knowledge and figuring out like the game is kind of the game.
Yeah, I
don't know,
kind of think
like-
of this as
I
like
like
a
that kind of stuff.
rogue-like XCOM,
Mhm.
but that's more puzzle, like more of a puzzle game and less of a strategic combat game.
Yeah, like Into the Breach, this feels like a game of chess against an opponent that doesn't really know what they're doing and has just infinite enemies to throw at you.
Yeah, I would agree with that. A lot of times the aliens are really dumb.
Yeah, they're dumb, but they're predictable. You can kind of
They're like animals.
yeah.
Like
to me, it's pretty easy to like get one to stop chasing you to chase the other character.
Mhm.
Easy that way.
well, and they have a decent amount of like you said earlier. You talked about the noise. Like there are noise-making devices you can use to like distract them.
Yeah,
Like turning on a radio and like dropping it in the far corner so that they all run over there to kill the radio, or like turning on an
Generator.
generator. There's a few other things like that.
Is there any
Oh.
like item that you can hold to like throw and make noise? I thought I was
Yeah,
hoping
you
that
can-
pick
well-
up the bottles and like just chuck them, but
you can. This is like you can put gas in a bottle and throw that, and you can also like set stuff on fire. But I don't know. I never got around to doing that.
I feel like setting stuff on fire can be really helpful, but it also can be extremely dangerous
yeah,
because
definitely.
fire doesn't act predictably at all.
just wait till you get to the later stages, Mitch.
Oh God.
You get into levels where there's fucking fire everywhere.
I also want to talk about the art real quick because I really like the art for this. Like, it's very simplistic, but I really like the colors. It really reminds me, like, the landscapes and stuff really remind me of Firewatch. And
Yeah, I really like the style of this game as well. It's very simple, but very nice looking.
yeah, and also the soundtrack works really well.
My one note for art was nice and simple. As well. It just seems like if you're an indie dev or something, going for that type of art style is like one of the best bets you could do for your game.
Yeah.
As long as you make it look good still.
Yeah.
'Cause like I could compare this art style and just point out like 50 indie games super fast.
Yep.
Be like, oh, all these are similar. So nothing
I
bad
really-
about it.
I really like the visual style of the aliens too. Like this like weird, almost rock-like.
Hey, we don't
Underground
know.
creature.
You don't know that they're aliens.
It's true.
They're
They could
called-
just be from Earth.
On the actual, well, they're called bugs, I think.
Yeah, and then there's like all these like weird tentacles that are like kind of glowy. And
A
like,
lot of them just remind me of like sea creature types.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And hey,
I'm
you're driving
guessing
to
the
the ocean.
Further you get, the lands get more creepy looking and more alien.
Yep.
From what I've seen.
Yeah, they do. And
I'm in a part where
that
it's
that is one thing that I just do not get is why are you going west? Okay,
Why are you going towards all that?
that is
board stuff?
I will say one thing about the ending. It does not explain why they want to go west.
All right.
Huh. Interesting.
I was
Well-
also thinking that in the beginning there's like easy monsters, not a lot, but then you just keep going into more and more.
Well, it is a game. We do have to. Games need to get harder, especially this when it's like a roguelike.
Mhm.
But I totally understand. It's like it's weird that we're doing this.
Yeah. But otherwise, let me see if there's anything else I wanted to talk about. A lot of mechanic gameplay stuff.
I liked whenever you die or something, it kind of shows the progression that you've made during that playthrough, and like you can kind of highlight each character, and it shows when you picked them up and where they died or where you left them off, or
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
It's, nice
the
statistics.
like stat system is pretty nice, and like even with the redo function, the stakes feel like pretty high. Like you definitely don't want somebody to get injured, and you want to make sure
That's the
that
worst.
you're searching everything and maximizing your gameplay. I had some stuff for the ending, but we're not going to talk about that.
I'm sorry.
Maybe no, that's fine. We could talk about it later, and then I could record that and put it in like the final video because I'll probably do some like audio editing with this one. Couldn't really do that.
It
For,
also could be like whenever we do our next conversation. If we are further along, we can talk more about it.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
definitely.
Just add an extra 30 minutes. Yeah.
Because I do want to keep playing this. It's just that I've had very little time to play stuff.
Yeah, too busy making Last of Us
Crunching.
Part 2 or Last of Us 2
No, it's part 2.
Part 2. Okay.
Yeah.
The Last of Us Part 2, even more last than the last part.
I haven't played PUBG in so long. I need
Yeah,
to go back
same.
and play some more.
Well, the new map is pretty much PUBG, but Rainbow Six Siege style.
That's
Like,
cool.
it's close
Everything's
quarters.
no. It's a small map by like 60 people, but the environment's destructible,
Oh,
and you can shoot through walls and everything like that, and like create holes in the walls.
Very
and then
cool.
they
that's
have
cool.
they have what's called a black zone, which is the red zone, but the bombs actually blow up buildings and
Oh,
completely destroy.
damn. So like hiding in
no.
buildings isn't necessarily going to be helping.
Safe. Yeah.
That's cool.
Is that
I
in the
definitely
game
have to go
now,
back and play
or-
some more PUBG.
Yeah. Got lots of fun maps.
I haven't played that in a long time.
Yeah. I've never won a single chicken dinner, but
I've only come in
It's fun.
second place, I think.
A long time ago, I got a chicken dinner with a team, and I think I got one by myself. So like one in each mode.
I'm for
or
sure
like-
never got one by myself.
I've gotten one like back when all of us were playing the games together, or like got multiple with them. But ever since then, nothing.
Mhm. I started playing Apex Legends again with Marcus, and that's been fun.
Nice.
But
I've just been focusing on single player RPGs.
okay,
lately.
quickly.
Yeah.
Let's give our final recommendations on Overland. I had down like when I first beat it, I was like, oh, that was kind of short. I'm not sure if I would like if you're just planning on beating it once, I think $25 is a little steep, but I think it does have the replayability to be worth it. And my review is that I like it. I really like turn-based kind of roguelike games like this, so I had a good time with it, and I'll probably be playing it more.
I would also recommend the game. I definitely haven't played enough to like make a really good recommendation of it since it's been fully released. But I've liked this game ever since early access, and I like the like turn-based style and roguelike elements. And I'm looking forward to actually beating it at some point in the future.
Probably gonna go a different way with this and say, if you know you like these type of games and roguelike games, because I'm not 100% into it, but I do recognize the good and bad of the game. But I also agree with Zach saying 25 is a bit steep for this game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've said this for other games, but I'll probably be like when I edit the final video, I'll put some gameplay in, and I always recommend people to look at gameplay, look at reviews, see if it's the kind of game that you want to get, because there have been a lot of games that we've played for this that I think have been good games, but just weren't exactly my kind of game.
Yeah, that's definitely the case for me as
and,
well.
Yeah,
We've played a decent amount of variety here, and a lot of us don't like the same kind of games.
Yeah,
So-
definitely. But yeah, seems like the consensus is that it's all right. And the next game that we're playing is For the King, I think.
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah. Did that one was that one free yet, or is it gonna be free?
Okay,
Did I
so here's the thing about that. I saw that it was like tomorrow For the King is going to be free. And and the next day came around and it was a different game.
Weird.
And I looked on a couple of websites and they also, some ones were like outdated and also had that, but some were
Hey guys,
updated.
I
and
will
so
be back in just a sec. I have to leave. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm not totally sure what happened with that, but maybe it'll. Yeah, so it might have been free on the Epic Games Store. It might be in the future, but I'm not sure. I'm actually going to go check right now because they might have announced the next one. But goddamn, they had some nice games for free over the 12 days of free games or whatever. They had some really good options.
Yeah, I heard they're good.
And
giving free games.
yeah, and I owned most of them, so that was kind of a meh. But there were some that I didn't own, and some that I've been playing. Like I tried Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, and that's a fun game. Oh, the next game is The Bridge.
That's free.
Yeah, it's coming soon, so it'll be free on the 23rd, so in like 4 days. And the one right now looks really cool. It's like a platformer. It's got it's called Horus, and I had never heard of it before. But yeah, so For the King, we'll definitely have to play some games of that as a group, because it's definitely more fun to play with other people than by playing by yourself.
Oh, it's multiplayer?
Yeah, it's multiplayer. It's like
Is it like its own multiplayer gameplay mode, or multiplayer through the single player campaign? Or I don't even know anything about that, actually.
So the basis of the game is you play as 3 characters, and it's kind of like the best description I'll give for it is it's like a board game but D&D. So you have an overall like goal. The goal is like there's this big evil tower and you gotta stop a wizard, I think. There are different modes, but basically you have 3 characters and you go around, you raid dungeons and stuff, and each character can get controlled by a person, or you can control all of them yourself in single player mode.
Okay.
And it does have online multiplayer and
Nice.
all that good stuff.
Oh, I see this for the Switch. I might get it for the Switch.
Huh.
Never have enough games for the Switch.
Yeah. I wonder if it... I have no idea if it has cross-compatibility, because I have it on PC.
Probably not.
Probably not, yeah.
Or
So
if it does, Switch is definitely not a part of it.
So yeah, that is the game that is coming up. And with that being said, I think we're gonna go offline now.